guys, Raya here. This month I decided to get out my emergency supplies to get familiar with my first aid kit and to practice suturing. Watch as I give it a try. I got these 2 books to have on hand. I think it's important to be as familiar as you can in your mind with first aid, but to also have material to reference, just in case you can't remember everything and the internet isn't available. The Boy Scout First Aid Book has some nice long descriptions and images that just about anyone can follow. The Field Book has a ton of general survival and outdoor skills and information. The First Aid section has fewer graphics and more real-world photos. And some really helpful acronyms and higher-level descriptions of medical situations. This is the first aid kit I purchased at the beginning of the year to add to my emergency supplies. I grabbed the Red Cross kit recommendations and compared that with my existing supplies. I had already gotten 2 types of painkillers, as well as a tourniquet and iodine tablets. After reviewing the list, I had a few other things I wanted to add to it, so I grabbed them off of Amazon. I wanted more antiseptic and antibiotic packets. I also thought it would be a good idea to get a large syringe for washing out wounds. I added aspirin for heart problems, cold packs, hydrocortisone, gauze, and bandage wrap. The pack itself comes nicely organized and has lots of room to fill it up. I started to rearrange by putting all the tools and miscellaneous pieces on one side. Then I tried to consolidate like items into groups to keep things together and figure out where things could fit. I had to try a few different configurations before I found a successful organization scheme. In the end, I put a couple tools on the outside of the bag. Then inside, I put all the wipes and antibiotics in this zip pouch. The hydrocortisone and some skinny gauze rolls went in these slots. All the bandages are in this pouch. I tucked the CPR protector and some tape into this gap. Then I tucked the tourniquet and syringe on the sides. On the other side, I put all the tools, as well as cotton swabs, safety pins, the poncho, Mylar blanket, and the cotton balls. Then on top I put the painkillers, bandage wrap, aspirin, iodine, and gloves. This pack is definitely stuffed full, but it does all fit. I only kept out the cold compress because I don't want the tight fit to pop it and use it up. I decided this would be a good time to practice with the suture kit. I combined 2 kits together originally since I used the case from one for something else. Both kits came with scissors, mosquito forceps, a scalpel handle, toothed forceps, and a needle holder. The curved forceps are for clamping to control bleeding, and the straight holder is for actually suturing. One kit came with a bunch of scalpel blades, as well as 4 different suture types, each in 4 different thicknesses. O is thicker, and 4O is thinner. The other kit only had 2 types of thread, but it came with the practice skin pad. I watched a few instructional videos from a doctor on YouTube, and then got started. I first tried the thickest silk braided thread. The fake skin felt so weird to push the needle through. It was tricky to bring the needle through the other side at the same width as the starting side. I started with the training grip of the needle holder, kind of like normal scissors. I used this trick I saw in the training video to use the forceps to help pull the string through. I tried an instrument tie, which is where you loop the thread around the needle driver, clamp the short end of the thread, and then pull the thread off the driver to tie off the suture. Then you do a few more of those to secure the knot. It was kind of tricky to think about both hands for where to hold the thread to make things easier. I think I should have been grabbing the thread more with my free hand and been closer to the work surface the whole time. I realized after recording that I was only supposed to double loop the thread on the first tie and then do a single loop on the remaining. I also should have centered the knot more on the wound. This first suture turned out way too loose since I didn't pull the first knot tight enough. The next couple sutures were already a ton easier. I felt more comfortable with the tools and was able to tie correctly to get the skin closer together. But the tension on the thread ended up pulling it loose from the needle. This first attempt was nowhere near perfect, but it was at least slightly successful. I tried the largest polyester thread next. I liked that it was green. I decided to attempt this V cut. I switched my grip to try palming the tool, since the doctor in the video I watched said he liked this hold since it gave the index finger a lot more control over the tool. I was stupid and only did a single tie on this first suture, so it immediately came out when I started the next one. Lesson learned. I was still doing it incorrectly on the tie-off and doing a double knot every time. I don't actually know what the result of a thicker knot would be, but I assume it's bad, so I know better for next time. Each suture was easier than the last as I got more familiar with everything. The double knots ended up creating string loops on some sutures. I misjudged the end of this wound and probably should have done 2 sutures, so you can see the skin doesn't lay together nicely. I waited until the end to do the corner of this V since it seemed kind of tricky. Then I went back and redid the first suture. I finished by trimming all the strings to clean it up. Overall, I think it looks okay. The top end is pulled too tight and the bottom is too loose and would probably scar, but I think I did pretty good. And while I definitely need to practice more, I feel a little more ready for an apocalyptic emergency. Thanks for watching!